What's up guys, Jeff Cavaliere, ATHLEAN-X.com. I'm going old school here today. We're going to take you back, turn back the clock to take you through a shoulder workout, my shoulder workout. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've shared some personal details over the last year and a half or two about my torn bicep in this arm, about my torn labrum, completely torn labrum, 50% tear in my rotator cuff. Some wonder, Jeff, how do you even train anymore? So I figured, well, I'll show you how I even train my shoulder itself, because I don't think you have to compromise the intensity of what you do if you do it right. So I'm going to take you through this. Now, even if you don't have a shoulder problem, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks that I think about to get the most out of it. I start with a plate matrix warm-up. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Then I do my pressing overhead. There's a reason why I do single arm pressing. We'll talk about it. I kind of focus and shift my focus at that point to the middle delt in different variations. And then, of course, I want to tie that all together, the middle with the rear delt if possible. And I do that with a couple dumbbell exercises. And then always, for me, a corrective exercise. So I'm going to take you through all this. I'll take you again through my thoughts so you know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, and you can see exactly how I'm doing what I'm doing. So right off the bat, I have to do something to warm up my shoulders, okay, because they're just not as young as they used to. And of course, right off the bat, I don't know if you can hear this, but all that cracking and popping, hear that? Hear that? It's like Rice Krispies. So what we're trying to do is a plate halo here, right? All I got is a little 10-pound plate. I'm trying to hug it around the back side of my head, hug it around the front of my face. Once I do that a few times, of course, I'm going to reverse direction. And what this is doing is just rotating the shoulders internally and externally. And already I could already start to hear less of that cracking and popping, which makes me know that I'm off to a good start. Looking for just a general warming of the shoulder joint. From here, I do something called a plate 8. Again, this is not specific, guys. When I do a warm-up, I'm trying to see how can I be as efficient as possible, get some blood flow into the joint, get the joint feeling more lubricated, and at the same time, warm up the muscles a little bit too so they know that some work is about to be done. So here I'm going, again, ab and adduction here, adduction as I come across, and getting the shoulders warm up through those ranges because we're going to be needing them as I do the other exercises. Okay, then, feeling a little bit of a pump. Next thing we do is a scoop press. Gonna lock in at 90 degrees. I come up and I press. So it's not curling it up, I'm locked in at 90, I'm scooping, pressing over top, all in one motion. And by this point, almost all those little cracks and pops are out. It doesn't take long, guys. You don't have to sit there and foam roll for 30 minutes, or do a million different corrective exercises. We just gotta get blood flowing, a little bit of synovial fluid in the joint, and normally you'll see that everything starts to feel good. And that's it. So back in the day, that was a hell of a lot better than what I used to do when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I did nothing. I would go jump right into my heavy work sets. So where I start now is with my single arm dumbbell overhead press. Now, I like to be on my feet, and the reason why I do it on my feet is because there's a lot of advantages that come from being here. I can get a little bit of a push press, as you'll see. I can stack my joints a little bit better. Again, when you have a problem with your shoulder, keeping them stacked at the top where the wrist is over the elbow is over the shoulder is going to feel better and more stable than it is when I break that and I'm outside that plane. So what I do is I kind of look up at the dumbbell and follow it, okay? Down here, up, and follow. Now this is my warm-up set, okay? My first warm-up set for the exercise. Just trying to get a little bit of blood flow. Same thing, keep my other arm over here. I just follow it up. I'm here, they start off. When they finish, because of that slight lean, I'm able to keep everything in line right there. Get a little bit of crankiness over here. Now this is the one I actually tore. Okay. So from there, the first one's just for the joint and the muscles, just to kind of get them to feel more warm. The second one, I go up maybe halfway to my working set, a little bit more than that. And the point here is to get the muscles feeling a little bit more tension so that they are aware of, okay, you're actually going to start to do some real work. Now, another interesting thing I have to share. The reason why I like to do this version of an overhead press, not just for the stacking of the shoulder joint, but I can clean the dumbbell up with two hands, from down here near my thighs, easily to my shoulder. It's a little bit more difficult when you're doing a standing press to clean them when you've got a torn bicep all the way up here if you're using heavier weights. So because I could use two hands, I get them in position, I'm good to go. I'm not basically limited at all by the tear in the bicep. But again, for all the other reasons, I like this exercise anyway. Okay, here, now, second point. I'm not looking to fatigue myself. I felt the heavier weight, get done with the second warm-up set. Clean it up together. Again, this is not my work. I think people overdo the work, right? They in building up to the actual work sets, they're doing too much work on sets that don't even really matter other than serving the purpose to prepare you to do that work. In order to get hypertrophy here, you have to have the overload there. This is not going to create overload. All it's going to do is wear you out. For the first work set for me, I'll do 55. So what I do is I'll pick a range, 6 to 10. I broaden my range because of my issues. And if you have any shoulder issues, I recommend you broaden the range a little bit. Don't be so specific. 6 to 10 is fine. I know it's going to be heavy. I fail in there, we'll see how I feel. If I feel better, I'll lift the weight, I'll raise the weight up. If not, then I could keep it right there. But it's not the pressure of a specific rep number. So I'm going to clean it up to here. Okay, so then what I like to do is, once I'm sort of at that point of failure, use the legs a little bit to our advantage. We'll push. So 2 push press repetitions to take it beyond failure. This is the one that's injured. I didn't feel any pain in it. Again, felt adequately warmed up. I'm pressing in a good biomechanical position. I don't feel pain. I don't have to feel pain if you're training within the, with the right precautions. But again, anybody can get something out of this workout. You don't have to be hurt. One push press. Always have been just a little weaker on my left side. Again, injured shoulder here. This one, not so hot, but injured shoulder, but right side dominant. So I'm always a little bit stronger on my right side. Control the negative. Convince yourself that you don't have it on that last one. At least you know you're going to failure. Same thing. You see? Just when I talk shit about my left side, it does better. A little trash talking always works. All right, so I love this variation of the lateral raise for a few different reasons. Number one, it does feel great on my shoulders. Number two, I do this either or with a cheat lateral. Where the cheat lateral, I get to use a heavy dumbbell, a little bit of momentum, focus on the eccentric. Here, I can allow myself to even row it a little bit, but use heavier weights, get that eccentric overload, and also get a stretch that I don't get with a dumbbell, right? So by coming out here, I start with my arm and delt across my body, so I'm getting that stretch across my entire middle and rear delt. So what I do here is I still try to pull and lock my arm out to around this position here so that that cable stays perpendicular to my forearm, right, as much as I can, because that will give me the most work being done by the delts. And I try to get it to the top there and kind of pop and stop it for a second. It just feels good right there. Stop and pop for a second at the top. I always keep my other hand on that delt. I want to make sure that I feel for that front delt, like it's not, like I'm not dominating with my front delt somehow, like pulling up this way, right? Pulling up and out in front of me. If I keep it on the front delt, I can feel it kind of stays a little bit soft as I do the middle delt doing all the work. And with all my lateral raises, what I've been finding has been really effective for me is after getting into this point of fatigue, I can do little partials as far as I can. I mentioned this as a great technique for guys who are older years ago, saying how little bits of tension are better than no tension at all. Just little bits here are better than nothing at all, especially in that fatigue state. But I've gone through my full range of motion failure first, right? I can't stress that enough. Do your work, your maximum amount of work through full range of motion. Then when you've got nothing left, it's okay to kind of work your way down to even 8th reps, if that's all you got, to drive home a little bit more of that tension. Swap over to the other side. Some of you guys who have trouble with coordination, you have to feel this a little bit first to see how it, make sure you're doing it the same exact way. But the hallmarks of the stretch, stop and pop at the top. And you can see the delt here just kind of lighten up. Right there. Probably the last good rep. Look at the tension in there. Even I'm moving it 6 inches, 5 inches. People say, Jeff, do you train hard? Yes, I train hard. I try to take all my sets to a point of failure because I know that I'm not going to be here long. I'm not going to be in this gym for hours and hours. The trade-off for that volume and length is intensity. And I want to push myself to the point where my body is forced to say, hey, let's do something to adapt from what he just did, hopefully in the form of either stronger muscle or bigger muscle. And that's what I focus on. Now, rest time in between sets. I don't rest long here. They're not my heavy strength exercises, and I was resting the whole time I did my left arm. So my right arm's kind of ready to go. So I get right back into it again. If you have a mirror, it's good to be able to watch your posture. Try not to pull with the trap here. Use the arm, get it out in front of your body, away from your body. Keep that cable perpendicular as much as you can to that forearm. Here we go. Fuck. By the way, no G workouts in my gym. No rated G workouts. I will unleash the beast when I'm training, and some of the F-bombs will come with it. I think it's a good thing to do. I think people they fire themselves up. And whatever you need to do to get yourself fired up, I work out at like 10:30 at night oftentimes. I need a little bit of something to get me going, more than just my Excite pre-workout. Again, I chose that wider range, 6 to 10. That's 9. Okay, 9.5. Fuck. Oh, that's it. Toast. Little red, right? If that's my cheat lateral version, if that's my cheat version, I still want to go strict, right? Because now as I'm honing in on the middle delts, now I want to be more direct in what I'm trying to do them, so now I'm going to go strict. This also is the point in the video, and in my workouts actually, where the mirror muscles come out. Hold on one second. Why I go shirtless here, again, I can do this in the privacy of my own gym, is I have to see what's initiating the contraction. Now, if I'm doing strict work, I want to be strict about it. If it's hiding under a shirt, I can't see what it's doing. So the idea is I'll start with the 15s. I'm going to go 2 arms at a time here, but what I want to show you is when I go to initiate this contraction, I'm going right from there. I want to see the feathers come out. All right? Once I go out, right there, I want to see the feathers come out. I don't want to see the front delt do the work. I want to see the feathers come out, and I want to see that split right here. Okay, that split right there, because I want the middle delt to initiate. Okay, what I also do is I go slow on every repetition. I don't go all the way down, keep a little bit of a gap there, and I go up nice and slow. It doesn't matter how much weight you're using here as long as you're getting the effect that you want, which is complete and utter tension overload on that middle delt. Okay, now of course I'm going to join it with the other side. Just like that. I'm trying to not pull too much with my traps. One of the tips I say is to pretend that you're reaching under a door, right? If I was reaching under a door or a fence, I would reach out but down, as opposed to up in this way, where I pull my trap up. I want to slide my hand under that fence, stay as long as I possibly can. Slight lean forward of my torso. You can see the hand position. The pinkies are lower than the thumbs. They're not pouring the pitchers like that. That just invites shoulder problems, and for me, I don't need to invite any more than I already have. So again, now that when I reach that point, I still do the same thing. Partials. Partial. It's a whole different feel. Again, I was okay with pulling with the rear delta a little bit and getting the heavier weight being slung around a little bit on the cable version. On this one, I'm not. I'm trying to be as strict as I can be. Limit that motion. Make sure that it's doing the work. Just because you're going for that isolated tension, it doesn't mean that you have to go light to do it. You want to go as heavy as you can and still be able to isolate that tension to the muscle you're trying to build. So I'll go a little higher. Might drop me a couple reps, but that's okay. Again, a little pause at the top. Gonna keep the hand position proper. Thumbs high, pinkies down. Little tilt of the torso forward. No momentum. Muscle it up. That's my last good one. Even in the partials, no cheating, just smaller reps. And they're fried. They're fried. I want to shift the focus now to the rear delt, because a lot of us don't hit the rear delt enough. It's a big portion of your shoulder. If you forget it, you're just going to have sort of one-dimensional shoulders. You look at them from the front, they'll look okay, maybe the width, but you look at them from the side, they'll have no depth to the shoulder. This is how you get it. And the way we do it is with an exercise called the high pull. By the way, guys, if you're like this style and you find it helpful, I'll do more of them. Just let me know. Leave a like, comment below. I'll do more, I promise. Now, what I'm doing here is the anti-upright row. Okay, you guys know I hate the fucking upright row. And the reason why is because this exercise is going to do the same thing but better. In other words, I'm going to get the abduction of the arm that we get with an upright row, but instead of being an internal rotation, because I have this wrist lower than the elbow, all I have to do is drop the elbows a little bit, get the wrist up and pull towards the back, and I keep a safer shoulder position, and I get better rear delt involvement anyway, and probably a little less traps. So screw you if you like the upright row. Just kidding, kinda. All right, so here we go. I have my dumbbells out here in front of me. I'm just gonna pull up and back. See, the elbows stay down low and down. This is a 6 to 10 heavier exercise for me. More explosive. Look at that abduction at the shoulder. So, again, by staying here, I'm pulling here. That slight change from going from here to here not only prevents some of that internal rotation, weighted internal rotation. A lot of guys get confused about internal rotation. If you're up here alone and you have impingement in this position, it can be problematic. It's how people test for impingement. Physical therapists would test by putting you in this position here. But it's when you put the extra weight in there with a easy bar or a barbell or the dumbbell that's driving you down into internal rotation and causing that head of humerus to be pushed up into that already diminished joint space there. It's just not good. I don't care if you got away with it for a workout or 10 years or 15 years. When there's a better alternative that doesn't compromise the results, then why not? Pull. Pull. You see that whole shoulder light up. Once again, 9. Whew. Torch. And again, I mentioned how now we're migrating that work, so it's not just here in the middle delt, which could always use more of the work, but the rear delt too. The key to rear delt activation is getting extension of the arm behind the body, behind the midline. If I can come up, like I do with the high pull, get it back behind me, I'm gonna get more of that rear delt. Last 2 sets here of the actual work part, pre-corrective, something I call a hip hugger. So I realized that at this point, I don't have much ability to abduct the arm or lift the arm to too high, right? Because it's already fatigued. But it doesn't mean that I can't get some low range of motion abduction, but still get the extension so I can really hone in on those rear delts again. So I do a hip hugger, which you take these dumbbells, you rest them on your sides, you act like you're pulling up a pair of pants. Drag them straight up, just like that. Really squeeze hard. The idea here is I'm dragging them and letting the elbows drift back into extension, which will really hit those rear delts. And then I'm also letting them drift into abduction a little bit at that humerus. Oh, the key here is the squeeze. That's why I like to do this one in the mirror. I'm squeezing it up, just like that. Squeeze. Squeeze. The tension comes when you're up at the top and holding it. So that's what you want to do, is get them up there, squeeze them, hold them. Squeeze and hold. Brutal. But again, I don't have much ability to do this anymore. I did the cable raises. I did the strict raises. Obviously, the overhead pressing movements are continued abduction up overhead. But I don't cut it short. Again, I realize the benefit of abbreviated range, even incorporated into exercises where the abbreviated range is the full range on this exercise. So don't get confused by range all the time. You're not trying to always seek out full range of motion at a joint. the full range of motion on an exercise could be a lot more abbreviated than the full range of motion at a joint. Remember that. And in this exercise, we're going full. There's just not a lot of range to be had here, but the effect is big. All right, so let's just bring this home. Again, benefit from me being here in the mirror, shirtless, is that I can make sure that I'm getting those muscles to do the work. Squeeze, I got my eye here on my left rear delt. Extension, abduction. Getting hard to get them even behind my body now. Even to hold it. That's it. Done. What I might do sometimes in that case, oh, what the hell, for fun, I'll jump down here, grab a really light set of dumbbells, and then really go and squeeze it high. And down, squeeze. Oh man, it's like cramping. Wow. Oh, shit. I've talked to you before about the benefit of being able to get such a mind-muscle connection that you get a discomfort squeezing in the muscle that you're flexing. It's easy for me to do on my biceps. It wasn't always easy for me to do on my rear delts, but if I get in that position and squeeze and hold, it starts to cramp so bad I have to let it go. That's a good sign that you've got good mind-muscle connection. Corrective is the last thing we got here. And so for the corrective, which I usually don't end a workout without doing, I have my ATHLEAN-X bands. I just wrap one around, something sturdy, around itself. Now, I'm just going basic external rotation. Good for posture, good for helping the rotator cuff stay, do its job. Keep that head of the humerus centered in the joint so that the next shoulder workout I do will be healthy as well, right? This is like maintenance work. You got to do it. All I'm doing here is small range of motion. I'm just going to externally rotate my shoulder. So I don't lift out into abduction. I keep my elbow in tight. It's a small range of motion. That's it. Just from here to here. Keep all that tight. Keep my shoulders down and back. You will feel this right back here if you're doing it right. This is where all the rotator cuff muscles come through. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus, they're all going to be working if you do this right. And I'm just going for good, high quality repetitions. I won't show you both sides, I'll just show you how to do it on one side. But the key is slow, deliberate, good contractions. Even if you have to rest a little bit, I'd rather you get 15 individual high quality contractions than start speeding through your repetitions here. There's no benefit to that. This is neuromuscular re-education. To re-educate a muscle and wake it up and make it do the job it's not doing, you gotta be precise. And right there, just fatigued. You gotta do that on the other side, one more set, and be done. So look, whether you have a shoulder problem or you don't, you can still train hard. And when you train hard, you need to train smart, because training smart will unlock the ability to do a lot of different things. At this point, for me, I'm done. Not a lot of volume, just higher intensity and get myself out of the gym. At this point, I will go take a protein, of course, my own Pro 30G you can get over at ATHLEAN-X.com to assist in my recovery and really focus on coming back here tomorrow for the same level of intensity with a different focus of my training. If you guys are looking for how I space my workouts out and put them together into plans, you can find them over at ATHLEAN-X.com. In the meantime, if you like the way these come out, you want me to do more of these walkthrough workouts so I can give you the insights, make sure you leave your comments below and tell me that you want to see more of them. If you haven't done so, click subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon. It's available over at ATHLEAN-X.com.